Okay, so this movie is new, and it's called Love Redeeming, I think. It's brand new, and I don't think there was anybody in it that I even recognized. Oh, but it is so good. For anybody who feels that they are in this, like a divine partnership, like you're on this track to, headed for that kind of relationship, that you are working on yourself and stuff like that, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So this movie is just, it was so cool because I believe it is so true what they were showing in this movie and where we're headed to, what I believe that we're headed to, and what I talk about, that we shouldn't be starting relationships as broken people. We should be healing ourselves and then starting relationships, and that will change everything for us. We won't be trying to get other people to make us feel better. We won't be in toxic situations like we have adapted our lives to. We've accepted these toxic relationships is all that's out there. That's what it's like to be alive. Just toxic people. But we are also the toxic people because we are not. It is so true about if your cup's not full, then you are looking for someone else to fill you, to make you feel better. And so in this movie, it's a girl. This is gonna tell some of the stuff. So, but I don't think it's anything. You can still watch it. It's a really interesting movie. But I'm not gonna tell like little details or whatever, but she has, and it's weird too, because it has some current stuff, because this is back, whatever, 150 years ago, supposedly, or whatever, kind of when they were settling. And so, it's like during the gold rush. And so a lot of these little towns, they were primarily men. And so, there'd be like it kind of reminds me of Alaska or something. Not that I think there's a lot of prostitutes in Alaska, but there probably is, because there's so many men, and I'm sure they're willing to pay for girls' company because it's like 95% men. So, but in this, it was that kind of thing where it was, 95% men, and it's like, and 4 or 5 women. And so they're prostitutes, but they're kind of forced into it. Like, if you were born into any kind of problem, your parents dying or anything, you were just, this little girl was bought at 9 years old as a sex toy. And it was just the same thing as what we're seeing with the trafficking and stuff like that, what they were doing back then, and keeping them captive and forcing them into life. And so this girl's life was like that her whole life. And when, it has a lot of really cool stuff about how this guy sees her. Like, it's just timing. Everything is timing. And how he sees her and he just knows. And he had already like called in his soulmate. And they have it like where they're talking to God. But really, I mean, it's the universe. It's energetic. So he's in a church, which you don't ever need to be in a build. You can drop to your knees anywhere you want and pray to the universal energy source out there, and try and guide the energy in the direction you want or whatever. But everything is really fate and destiny. We don't really have that much control over stuff like we think. And so he went in and he called in his, he said, I have such a great life. I love my life so much. I've gotten everything I could ever want. If you would please bring me a partner to share this with. And then he goes to town and, just happens to see this girl when she's out once, I think she goes out once a week or something for 15 minutes or something. And it was right when he saw her. So he knew that that was the person. Like, your soul knows. And so he started trying to, he loved her right away. He knew that he loved her. Like, his soul knew. So he right away you know, just wants to marry her. He doesn't want to sleep with her or anything like that. And she's so confused by this. Like, what in the hell? Why? You know, that's all anybody wants to do with me. And she couldn't accept love at all. She didn't feel good about herself. And she's constantly having flashbacks throughout the movie. And you can see why she feels really shitty about herself. You know, it's clear. I mean, how could you go through that in your life and not come out of it feeling scarred? So she, and he is just, you know, super kind, super loving, and just trying to provide a good home and doing things with her and trying to make her feel safe and stuff. But she just couldn't feel good. She just kept running away, and it's like she couldn't understand how someone could love her because she didn't love herself. So she just felt like shit about herself. And then he is trying to love her, but she couldn't accept it. So because there's in this kind of relationship thing, like a lot of times there's one person who knows, like they know what the truth is. And so he just stayed in his inner knowing. He didn't, you know, get angry at her. He just was like, well, she'll come when she's supposed to come. Like, I have no control. She has to want to come, because she had run away again. And when she did, then she stayed gone for a long time. And she went and she worked on herself, and she healed herself. And then they were able to come back together. But that is what I'm talking about all the time. In order to have a real, true relationship that is truly based on love, it can be out of balance like that. You can be two different people. One who hasn't fully figured out that they're lovable. They're just looking at everything that they hate about themselves. And every time it comes to the surface, that's when you need to heal it. But when it comes to the surface, they can just feel overwhelmed and, you know, like kind of just mad at themselves. Like most people just get really mad at themselves when they do stupid stuff. But you have to learn to accept yourself and know that you are here to learn. Everything is for you to learn by. You're not expected to know something before you learn it. That you are putting that judgment on yourself. And that's why I say, when you go to your life review, you don't have people around you judging you. It's you judging you. Think about how judgmental you are in this life. It is you doing it to yourself when you pass transition out of this reality. And you go and you look over the experience. You're judging yourself, and you get to experience what you like. If you're not judging yourself enough, you're going to see how you made others feel. So, you know, it's all about the learning. It's all about the experience. And, but when you have these two people, so one is wounded and doesn't think they deserve love, so they're running from love. They're running from themselves. And then you have the other person who has their inner knowing, who has to work on their trust and having faith. And always, no matter, you know, where you are in the thing, whatever stuff comes up, whatever triggers or anything, it's all for you to heal. Because you're healing and you're raising your vibration. You're pulling yourself up so that you can be in a divine partnership. You know, one that's based on the new paradigms, one that's based on true love and true acceptance and true partnership. You know, it's different than how we have been structured in our relationships before. And I've talked about this so much, so if you've listened to my stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it has been, you know, so much about creating relationships so we're set up to fail from the beginning. You know, and there's so many relationships that are just, you know, people just don't understand each other. They don't know each other. They're not in alignment. Is because you got together when you weren't at your highest vibration. You were at a low vibration. These people come in to teach you how to learn to love yourself. So a lot of the relationships feel super toxic, but it's so you can learn to love yourself. But once you get to that point of loving yourself and not needing a relationship. There's a big difference of when you need a relationship. You need somebody to come in and make you feel better about yourself. And when you are ready for a relationship, like you have healed, you don't play games, you love yourself. You don't need someone else to love you to make yourself feel better. You love yourself and you are accepting, like there's all these things that happen to you as you heal these old wounds and traumas. Like I've said, it just keeps raising your vibration and making it feel lighter and lighter. Like you're just letting go of baggage and you're vibrating higher. You're just moving up out of this dark, this dreary kind of place that is created for these experiences. So, and it is the raise to go into the age of Aquarius. So it is a part, if you're in that journey, this is a part of that journey, and I've said before, I think there's gonna be a lot of relationships that are gonna end. And because we've all just gone and tried to be with the wrong people and make it work. Because it was with the people who were there to teach us to love ourselves. It wasn't for the people who were there to be partners with once we love ourselves. That's completely different. And for me, like once I had broken free from those toxic relationships, and it took a lot for me. I mean, I've said before, I was like a relationship junkie. Like I always believed in love and I couldn't understand why it didn't believe in me back. Why it kept on like failing. But now I see, now I understand. It was because I wasn't loving myself. I could love somebody else, but I didn't love myself. So if you're not loving yourself and you're loving others, then you're putting what other people want for you ahead. Like I was just drying my hair this morning and I was thinking, what's weird is how many people I've been with who would tell me like, why do you dry your hair? Why didn't you just leave it? Like I was doing something wrong. And while I'm drying my hair, I love drying my hair. It feels so good to me to have this warm wind blowing through wet hair. I don't like it when the hair is just wet and just sitting like, I don't know. I just don't, I like it to be dry. And I like the whole thing of drying it. It feels good. And that I would feel like I was doing something wrong over stupid, petty shit. And that's just one thing. There's so many things that I was willing to put aside of myself to make others happy. When you get to a place where you're healed and you love yourself, you're not changing yourself. You love yourself. Why would you change yourself for someone else? And it isn't about me changing to be able to fit into this person's life. It's like your lives start to align to where you are just a match. So then whatever you do with it is up to you, however you, because that's one thing that is going to be so much different in the age of Aquarius. Like, I mean, people could be committed to each other and not live in the same house. Like, it's going to be a whole redefining of what is okay for the individual. There's not going to be so much like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to go to school, you have to get a diploma, you have to go to college, you got to get that diploma, you got to get your driver's license, you got to, all of the bullshit. That isn't going to be like that anymore. It's not going to be all these limitations. It's going to be each person deciding what works for them. But the whole purpose, the whole thing, everything that is happening right now. She's so sweet. You're so sweet, honey. I love you so much. You're precious. The whole thing, everything happening right now is so you can purge out all of this toxicity, all of the toxicity that we have adapted into our own lives in healing ourselves. So all of this stuff that's being brought up, don't get caught up in just the surface of it. Go in deeper, because anything that triggers you is there for you to heal. But it's not going to be as obvious sometimes. Sometimes something gets brought up and you're not really sure why you're even feeling that way. And that's where meditation, breathing, walking in nature, spending time by yourself so you can understand, like, why am I bothered by this? What is going on with me? And when the things come up, don't run and get a beer. Like, I'm not thinking about this. No, face it head on. It's time to destroy the demons, let them go. You know, it's time to move out of that energy and move into a healthy energy. So you're healing and you're feeling good about yourself. And it is, you know, that is what is going to lead us in the age of Aquarius. It's us. We are the change. You know, I heard, I'll just say this real quick too, because I had seen a thing where David was talking to Juan, asking questions, and it was live and it went on right when I was looking at my phone. So I was like, okay, I'll go and listen. I listened for a couple minutes and I just got too irritated because to me, Juan is just so, like, I know the age of Aquarius is happening. It is a cosmic event. There's nothing, it's the same as if the moon, well, we can't even, the moon and the sun situation, you know, it's not, I'm not sure. But it is what you would think of as the moon and the sun. You know, they're going to come up and they're going to go down every day. There's nothing you can do about it, you know, supposedly, unless they bring out fake ones. But that is, you know, it's just going to happen. And that's the same thing with the end of this age, moving into the age of Aquarius. Is going to happen. All you got to do is start looking into things. Start thinking things through logically. Don't get caught up in their dramas. Think about things logically. What this age represents. What souls were there learning in the end of this age and why all this stuff is happening. And it is the destruction of what they had created because it's the end of their age and moving into a new age. And the new age is going to be highly developed, emotionally stable. You know, it's going to be about freedom, about abundance. And just think about this, like, you know, you think like, oh, people would just be doing fine if, no, they won't be doing fine until they heal. You could take so many people right now on this planet and you could say, here, I'm going to give you $1 million. They wouldn't have $1 million by the end of the weekend. You know, they don't know how to take care of themselves. They just are this endless need of kind of like with anxiety and adrenaline, but it is it's this whole thing with the consumerism, with the TikToks, you know, going through them. It's like this charge or something. I don't know if it's adrenaline charge, but people are just so used to living off of that, and they don't know how to really live differently. And this is learning so you can learn how to live differently, because this energy won't be going into the age of Aquarius. This isn't what the age of Aquarius is going to be about. It's going to be a completely different reality than this one. And that is, you know, this one's ending so the next one can begin. But it's showing itself. It's revealing itself. That's why you're seeing so much horrible shit. And that's why you gotta heal from all of this horrible shit. And, you know, this is really happening. I mean, whatever, you know, other people want to say, like, I'm still here, the Armageddon people, like, you know, Juan sitting there saying all this stuff we have to do. Like, we have to just start buying from Americans. It's like, well, okay, there's so much I can say about that. But a lot of this stuff is going to happen naturally. That's why I talk about it from a different perspective of, you know, be more prepared. Because as these corporations and stuff go down, we've become so reliant on them that we rely on them for everything. They've infiltrated our lives. And so as they are going down, it's like, you know, as the towers are going down, you know, where are you going to go and get your stuff? So that is what I'm talking about, is this stuff is happening. We don't have, I mean, to be like, okay, well, we're just going to buy from the USA right now, which I started trying to do that a while ago, just getting like Stella's snacks or whatever, trying to get stuff that is, because like, there's a whole bunch of dogs that died from getting their chicken jerky from, it ended up, it was from China, and they don't have, I mean, they'll sell any old fucking thing, they don't care. They don't have the restrictions, And our restrictions are still fake as fuck. But they don't have any. They can do whatever the hell they want. And, well, I don't know. I don't live there. But, you know, they were selling dog treats that were killing dogs and poisoning them. And they were selling them in Costco. They were selling them all over the place. Tons of dogs died from them. So, you know, I started trying to be more, you know, focused on where I was getting stuff. Like, I mean, there's so much to look at. Like, you got to go through all the ingredients. You got to go through, there's so much, you know, to try and figure out. But it's just killing me. And so, anyways, I don't think it is that we have to just start buying from America, because it's hard. They've taken everything from us and moved it to other countries. And I did see Trump yesterday at that CPAP or something, talking for a minute. And he was talking about, we're going to be back to making stuff in America, which he was already trying. But it's because that it's going to stop being all the corporations. We're going to stop having stuff from them. We're going to have to develop our own stuff, our own selves. And that's why I keep talking about, like, if you have like drive and ambition to a certain thing, that's what you need to be following right now. That is what you need to be developing, because we're going to be going into such an expansive time when this old, you know, corporation dies off. Well, where are we going to get all our stuff? And it's going to be having to develop into that kind of situation. And there probably will be towns and communities where everybody works on the same stuff and making the same stuff. And there'll be other ones where it's, you know, a bunch of artists, you know, and they are selling their stuff online, making blankets and moccasins or whatever. You know, it's all going to be, it's us. We are the change. But I don't know. Sometimes I just think that a lot of people are just so Debbie Downer about everything. It's Armageddon. It's the end. It's the end of what we need to end. It's the beginning of something so brand new and so beautiful. And it is truly happening. And so, you know, I thought that movie had such good timing, because we are going to develop more into these higher-minded relationships, all relationships. The way that we deal with people is going to be different as we heal. And this is all to promote healing, everything that's going on. And if you're all, you know, caught up in it and caught up in the drama and stuff, and you're just like, well, I need to just, you know, watch every second on the news or whatever, then you're distracting yourself from your own healing, because you shouldn't need to. Everything that has to do with you will be in your reality. You don't have to go and look for other people's reality to get upset about and to get all tore up about, because that is a distraction. That is so you don't have to work on you. And the most important thing through all of this is to work on you. And don't get scared. Don't feed the fear. And remember, there's beings around you suckling off of your fear. This is like really gross. You don't want that. So you don't want to be feeding fear. You want to be, you know, trying to do your best to keep, you know, your emotions, you know, it's a mastery of your emotions. And it is focusing on your own healing and what comes up, and taking good care of yourself, staying centered, focusing on what you eat and drink, and, you know, just trying to keep your body at its optimum, which is hard. Like, with all of the toxins and stuff, like, I don't even understand how it can be, you know, with something to my foot, but it is all these nerves. Like, it can all of a sudden be a finger, and I know it has something to do with nerves and stuff. And I know that fibromyalgia or something, where they started diagnosing all these people with that. Well, I was working at the hospital and doctors when they were doing that, and they had no idea. It was just a completely vague thing, like, well, I don't know, let's just call it fibromyalgia, because they didn't know what it was, and they still don't know what it is. Everything that they say is all lies, but it is, I feel so certain of it, that it is, it's arsenic poisoning. It's a long-term use of toxins that are attacking people's bodies. And, you know, they are just, you know, coming up with a diagnosis and a treatment that usually entails big pharma. So, It isn't what they're telling, you know, and then Big Pharma is just putting more toxins into you. So, but I believe it isn't what they come up with these diagnoses. It is just basically arsenic poisoning. And that is one of the things in that diagnosis is some kind of weird pains and electrical shocks and stuff. And that's also a part of MS. All of these autoimmune things are all created by them. All these diseases and sicknesses, it's all created by them. Everything that is natural would have a natural way of healing. Otherwise, it is for you to die, transition, you know. But everything in nature has its own, you know, like you can go out in nature, you can find stuff for healing. It clears up infection. It helps with breathing. That help. I mean, inflammation. Like there's all sorts of plants and stuff. And then there's going to be so much more of that, what we're going to learn about, of how to be a part of nature and know what is good for us and what isn't good for us. But I also believe there's going to be a big change over in how we get our energy. And, you know, because I know that we don't have to get it the way they're saying. But the whole thing is that all of these changes that are going to be happening, they seem like they're taking us backward, but really they're taking us forward because there's going to be so much technology. So it's really, some of this stuff is hard to say how every single thing, because I had even heard that one of the machines or, you know, some kind of a technology that they're holding back from us is like a machine that you can go program and tell it like what you want to eat, and then it just comes out of it. That's the shit that was on the Jetsons. So, you know, that's the shit I grew up on. And they had that stuff all the way back then, and they've been holding it back. There's like something like 6,000 patents that when, you know, the banks go down, the cabal goes down, that all these patents are going to be coming. And I already have heard there's people who are already working on hover cars. There's all sorts of stuff. That's what I'm saying. If you have anything inside of you that you are being drawn towards, that is your inner guidance to work on it, because we really are going into a time where, you know, you could be a great inventor for something that's coming. It's just trust your communication, you know, tap in, follow your guidance. And, you know, for God's sakes, work on healing. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.